Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
Beats me from North Carolina.
Oh, hey,
Um,
what's up?
I got and I posted it in the forums.
Okay,
Um, it's called 2-5 Jack getting raised out of position
I got it up here. Let me just,
on the.
yep, let me see
Yeah,
if,
so this is up at Harris Cherokee during the WSOP circuit stop,
uh-huh,
and so like we're playing at this table, and the villain in this hand is I haven't played much with him, but he balled in for the max, and he's playing pretty tight. He just seems comfortable at the table. So, my perception of him is just a decent player. I haven't really seen him do too much yet,
okay.
but, it's basically dealing with an unknown. And I just want to get your thoughts on the flop play.
All right, so let me just go
Um,
through it real quick here. So
yeah, sure.
he probably views you as a good player, whatever. So you're 1100 effective and you open pocket jacks under the gun to 20. And this is 2-5. I'm assuming a 1000 cap, or is it uncapped, just out of
That
curiosity?
it's 1,000 or match the stack.
Okay,
So like when
so
the
it's
table
basically, yeah,
starts,
uncapped. Yeah. So you
yeah.
open jack under the gun to 20, two callers, villain calls on the button. So the pot is four ways, about $80, and the board comes out deuce 4-5 with a couple spades. You bet 50, two people fold, and he raises to 110. And you're asking, what is your play here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I mean, I've been thinking about this hand for a while.
Well, I don't know what people said I mean, from a higher stakes perspective, people will say that you are supposed to check certain types of boards to balance your checking range when the boards hit your opponents or when you're unlikely to have the nuts on a certain board. So that does have some validity, but usually people in live poker, especially at 2-5, aren't going to be taking advantage of that. So I tend to just play my hand straight up as a bet with an overpair on the flop. And,
Yeah.
just because you're kind of in the dark if you don't play it that way a little bit. And so while you're not betting for information, you actually do get information by the way that your opponent reacts as opposed to checking. I mean, I would call. He raised to 110. I would call. I mean, I think that he could have the nut flush draw. I think that he might even be betting with like a hand like, I don't know. I mean, he might be raising with like pocket eights, pocket nines. I mean, that's probably pretty odd to do, but people in your spot will sometimes bet a wheel board. If you listen to my podcast from last week, wheel boards like ace, king, ace, queen, which is a gutter to a three and two overcards to a hand like nines or tens. I
Yeah.
wouldn't think that would be a big part of his range, but the small raise is sort of odd. I just don't think that you can do anything but call. I mean, I'm not going to fold for 60 more, and I think that the hand
Right.
tends to reveal itself with what the turn card is, the connection to the board, and how he reacts to you. What is, in essence, I mean, you have to check your entire range on the turn, obviously. So
Right.
how he reacts
So
to
like,
your turn play.
so what do you think about the like just his sizing in general? It didn't it
It's
didn't
bizarre.
strike me as well, just like as his like his sets, or if he flopped a straight,
Hmm.
or if he flopped two pair, it just the little min raise
Yeah, it's bizarre.
seemed more like it was a bet for information. Like
Well,
I have a middle pair,
that's what
find out where I'm
yeah, I
at,
mean, that's what I said. Like, I wonder if
or
you ever have like eights or nines here or something like that.
right, or just like Jack 10 of spades, or Queen 10 of spades, or whatever that is. And he's
He
got
could be
two over
he
to the
could also be
board.
raising with the nut flush draw here and to like get a free card on the turn. So that's why, like I said, you just call and you see how the board develops on the turn.
Okay, yeah. So if you go that route, like, what's your plan? I guess are you ever leading like an offsuit nine, or are
Um,
you just like because the main thing I was struggling with was if his range is more heavily weighted towards flush draws and possibly middle pocket pairs. If I just call his bet, I'm basically going to give him two free cards. I felt like if I checked, the turn. Um, so I don't know. In my mind, I didn't necessarily like the option of
I'm not a. I can
just
understand
calling.
what you're saying, and I wouldn't really play a hand in that manner at the 510 level. But if you were playing
Okay.
against very very weak competition, where you thought that his range was almost always a draw because of the flop sizing, then you could play a stop and go on the turn. And then if he raises you, then you know that
Right.
he's just got to. I mean, it's actually something that I wouldn't have considered. So I don't think it's as bad as maybe people would look at that and be like, "Oh, it's heresy." But the guy's
Yeah.
got to be
Right.
like a decent player. I mean, the guy's got to be a really bad player though. You know what I mean? I mean, you're trying
Yeah.
to get
Right.
value from
Right.
like nines or tens. I mean, the other thing too though is that like if it goes check check on the turn and he has one of those hands, like you can get value from those hands on the river. So all you're really trying to do here is like avoid him getting a free card. But it's not so if you give him a free card, you lose a little bit of value on the turn, but it's not the end of the world as opposed to putting in money drawing dead. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right. I hear that.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So I mean, I guess you would be against. Another option I thought I had was to raise the flop now, basically raise fold the flop. What do you think of that option?
I think that puts your stack in a lot of jeopardy at 2-5, 1100 effective. Um,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that if he ends up even having a set, he might not even necessarily just get it in now. I think that you're not going to get shoved on probably all that much, and it's a disaster if you get shoved on and he does have like the nut flush draw and he blows you off of your hand, which is about 50-50 right now.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like, if I did raise it, and I mean, I would kind of be forced to play a check fold line on the turn in the river after I put in that like such an aggressive action on the flop.
Well, that's why
Like
you can't. That's why you
he would
can't
have to
really.
think I was gonna
You can't really.
call him down.
You can't really shape the hand that way though, because
Yeah.
now,
Okay.
I mean, if he's raising with a draw, he's not going to fold when you raise. So now you're going to check the turn. That's the problem. Like you don't. It doesn't really reveal all that much about his range if you three bet and he calls. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So you're gonna three bet the flop, and now the turn's an eight. And now you're gonna check the turn. You know what I mean? It's just odd.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is. I just found myself in a, yeah, I just didn't like the spot. I did end up making it, so he raises it to 110,
Yeah.
and I don't know, yeah, I decided to raise it there, and I made it 360,
Okay.
and he ended up folding, but I just thought it was an interesting spot.
Yeah, you folded out a worse hand that you probably could have got some
Yeah,
value from. That's why that was my first inclination. I said, this seems like maybe it's like eights or nines or something like that, right? That was really like one of my first feelings. Because like
right,
you had
right, and
said, you don't see people raise so small with two pair or a set on this flop.
right, because I could easily have, yeah, ace jack of spades or ace queen of spades or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
they're not going to choose. I mean, this is extreme strength, or it's usually a hand. It's one of three things. It's extreme strength like ace three of spades. It's finding out where they're at in the hand, or it's raising to get a free card. I mean,
yeah,
those are the
right,
three
right.
things. That's what usually what that sizing represents. It's not like 4-5. It's usually not
Yeah.
going to be a set. But anyways, thanks for the
Good.
call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out CrushLivePoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.